Right, so I've been struggling with a little bit of an issue to do with garbage collection and instances. So as you can see here, I have a little basic script which just has a new function, creating a text button. Then what we do is we call this instead of a table with weak values, and we just check to see how long it stays alive for using this while loop. So this will just garbage collect immediately as we expect, and there's nothing fancy going on here. If we run this, still alive, gone, there we go. And so this all seems perfectly fine, right? What we can do, we'll say instance.activated connect function, and we'll just say print number 5, and this should still garbage collect just fine. Still alive, gone. Yep. So the problem is, however, what if we do print instance.name, right? So we're now referencing the instance inside that event connection. Now, as you can see, this never garbage collects because there is always going to be a reference to the instance from this function here, which has held the instance in memory, which means that it never gets destroyed because in order for this reference to go away, the instance must be destroyed, which disconnects the event. Okay, so fair enough. So our goal now, we want to be able to keep this event here, but we don't want it to hold a strong reference to the instance. Alright, so your first thought might be to change the setup a bit. So say ref is going to be a table containing our instance. And now we only ever access the instance through that table. This doesn't change anything on its own, but what it allows us to do is add a meta table. And what we're going to do here is we're going to configure this meta table with a mode of v. And what that does is that says this table now has weak values. In other words, this instance here, this is not a strong reference. This is a weak reference. In other words, this doesn't count towards garbage collection. And what you'll see is that this initially solves our problem. Still alive, gone, fantastic. Except it doesn't really solve this problem because something about instance references is that they are only there for object equality purposes, not actually tied to whether the instance is accessible through the data model or not. So if we did ref.instance.parent is workspace, you'd see this still collects, even though in the workspace, there's the text button, right? And so what we want to do here, we don't want to collect this instance too early because if that happens, then this event will no longer fire, right? Because it no longer has a reference to the instance, it won't fire correctly. So even though the instance is around and we're still listening for events, we no longer actually have a reference to the instance that we can use, which is bad. So what we want to do is we want to hold this instance strongly while it is inside the data model, and when it goes outside the data model, we want it to be weakly referenced so that it may be collected if needed. Because we're assuming as long as the instance is within the regular data model, it can be accessed. Because if it's not in the regular data model, the only way to access it would be through a reference in another script. And so if there is no other references, then yeah, fine, just collect it, right? And this is where things get funky. So what we're going to do, we're going to write a function, if I can type, local function update ref strength. And this won't take any parameters or anything. We're going to keep this as clean as possible. We'll just say if game is ancestor of the instance which we're accessing through the ref, right? So if the game is an ancestor of the instance, so if this is in the data model, then we set the meta table of the ref to not have a mode, right? And so we can actually get rid of this here. This is just going to be a table here. Otherwise, no, I did not want to lapse time, Studio. It's nice to see that some things never change. So otherwise, if it's not in the data model, then set the mode to be weak, right? And what we're going to do We'll do task.defer update ref strength because we definitely want to hold a strong reference right to the end of the function. So we definitely return the instance. We don't want it to collect immediately. I'm just doing that for robustness sake. And then what we're going to do, we'll do ref.instance.ancestryChanged connect update ref strength. And in theory, this should work, right? Because nowhere here are we holding a strong reference to this instance except when this ref table here does not have a mode, which is when it's in the data model. So ancestry changed will fire at the correct points. I've verified this, by the way. Ancestry changed will fire when the instance moves out of the data model, and it will set the meta table of this reference to be weak, and there will not be any strong references in this script, supposedly. However, when we run this, you'll notice it doesn't collect. It is still alive perpetually. And that's actually because I've done a schoolboy error, really. I've forgotten to do the most critical part of this, which is actually parenting it to nil. So if we do delay 5 function, we'll say print moving to nil, and we'll say ref 1 parent is nil. Sorry about that. So if we now do this, it will not collect while it's in workspace. Cool, cool, cool. Moving to nil. It's still alive. It's still alive. I think you can see the problem by this point. It's not garbage collecting. But why is it not garbage collecting? Because we've moved it to nil, so it has left the data model, which means that ancestry changed has fired. This check here returns false because the instance, we still have a strong reference to it, so it is still present in that table. Even if it wasn't, it would still return false because game is ancestor of nil, still returns false. Which means that we go to this branch here, which sets the meta table of the reference to have a weak value. There are no strong references to this instance anywhere in this script, as far as I can tell. This is a weak reference. This is a weak reference. This is a weak reference. This is turned into a weak reference by update ref strength. This event connection does not hold a reference to the instance. This is a weak reference to the instance. This is a weak reference to the instance. Where is the strong reference? What is holding this thing in memory? I don't know. And this is what I'm stuck on, right? This, in theory, should work. I have scoured the dev forums, and if we take a look here, you can see Stravant, on February of 2018, had a very similar solution to this, right? And I've analyzed all of this stuff here. I've analyzed a bunch of other dev forum thingies, and I just don't get it. I don't know if this is a bug in the engine. I don't know if I'm missing something here. I just don't know. And so I'm putting this out there for you guys to investigate. If somebody could figure out what on earth is going on here, that would be much appreciated. Anyway, I've been Dan, and I will see you guys next time when I am hopefully a little less bemused by the Roblox engine. Bye.